Well, hey, everybody. Welcome for joining us for, I guess you could say, our inaugural podcast for Virginia at Work, right?
Woot woot.
Woot woot. With me is Linda McNutt Foster, as well as William Farrell with Berglund. And Linda, of course, is with Cortex Leadership Consulting. Thanks for being here, guys.
Hey, glad to do it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us on your first show.
I know. This is very exciting. I kind of want to unlock the door to all the information, but we'll try and reel it in.
Okay,
Keep
great.
us to about 20 minutes.
Great.
And I know our big topic right now is talking about the influx of emails, which about drowns all of us day in and day out. Linda, my first question for you is, this is actually a topic that you use with Cortex, with your clients. How big of an issue is this?
It's actually a pretty monumental issue at this point for corporations. I mean, the cost that is associated with emails is not being calculated enough. So I actually wrote about it in my book, Time Mastery, because there's a special section on it, because people are spending hours a day, and it is not an efficient way to communicate at all. There are great apps out there that you can use for managing projects and managing conversations. A lot of my clients are going to iChat and other apps within their corporation because they're realizing that the email, to have to read through tons of different chains to try to figure out information, is not a place for conversation.
And I think, William, you probably can talk about this best. The higher you are in a position, whether you're a manager, senior manager, CEO, the more emails you get. A, is that true? And B, how do you handle it?
Well, I'd say it's true, because I get a lot of emails that directly I need to respond to, but also I get copied on a lot of emails just so I can kind of keep the flow of what's happening at each one of the car dealerships or with each one of the manufacturers. And a lot of them don't need a response, but they fill up your inbox. I believe I'm around 300 emails a day. I couldn't get it done. I got two great assistants that helped me out and kind of helped me really figure out what I need to respond to. But then we got to respond to them, and they come all hours of the day, starting. We go until late at night. They probably slow down around midnight, and they start back up around 6:30 in the morning.
Well, and this is what the real issue is: this carbon copying. And so a lot of companies are starting to go setting rules of engagement, and that's one of the big things. When do we carbon copy? Then there's a big issue of is there a cutoff time? Because if you're a boss and you're just trying to get it done, so you're like after hours going, oh man, finally it's 9 o'clock at night, I can respond to everybody. But then your workers are like, am I supposed to respond to him or her right now? And it's the boss doesn't really think, no, I don't expect you to. I'm just glad I could respond. But if you don't have rules of engagement, there's all this underlying question going on that people don't know how to deal with.
What are your rules of engagement? Do you have rules?
I don't think I have that good rules of engagement. Get some good ideas.
I'm going to talk to Linda
but
about
there's a lot of times where I am late in the evening just trying to catch up from the day. So I'm answering emails, I'm responding to emails. And then I probably do cause this for some of my employees to go, wow, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and do I respond now? Do I wait till the morning? Because we have gotten into this society where, you used to mail a letter, and it used to take, 3-4 days to get there and return and that kind of deal. Now if we send an email, we don't get a response in 5 minutes, we think someone's not paying attention. So we've come to that society that it's just, automatic. And I know some of the best practices that I do not have down correctly is that you should only look or respond to your email, 3-4 times a day. Because, as we're going through, even like right here talking to you, I'm sure my inbox is filling up, and that's the first thing I'll do when we finish is I'll check my email. But really, if we had some kind of rules of engagement like Linda's talking about, people would know that, William's going to respond to his email at, 9, 12, and 3 or something like that, which is so much better than a paper. But it's the world's coming to, well, if I don't get a response that quick.
Right, that instant gratification. That's the world today.
Well, and I think I've actually thought about and haven't done it yet. I wanted to go into a speech one day with 300 letters stacked up. Because when you think about it, like in the 1950s, there was every executive had a secretary, and that assistant would go through their mail, help them with the correspondence. But everybody thinks they can send an email to William Farrell and William Farrell will respond to them. Like, the entire idea of correspondence has completely changed But and most executives, a lot of them are losing their assistants and they don't have assistants in it, but the amount of correspondence they have to respond to has tripled.
Right. I mean, that number is not going down at all.
Yeah, and I've recently tried to manage it by sending an automated responder.
Yeah.
Saying, due to the volume of email I get every day, I may not respond to you immediately. Here's my assistant's name and her phone number. If for some reason you have an emergency or something that needs to be dealt with right now, please send her an email or call her, and she can help you immediately.
Does it work?
Well, it works a little bit. I think.
A little bit works.
A little bit.
That's a little bit that you'll take, right?
It helps out, but then again, I think a lot of people get that response. I had a person tell me the other day when I saw them outside of work. They said, "I get this response from you all the time. Why don't you just answer my email?" I'm thinking, well, it's hard for people to understand all that sometimes, but.
So when you think of Berglund, I think the average person either A, thinks that's where I got my car, or B, I went to the Berglund Center and saw an awesome concert.
Right.
But you're the CEO of Berglund, so your perspective is probably a little different. Talk about how many people you have on staff, how many locations. I mean, give people an idea of the scope that you have to deal with day in and day out.
Well, sure. We have, we started there on Williamson Road, 45 years ago, and we've been fortunate enough to grow over the last, 40 years really, but grown a lot in the last, 10 to 12 years. So we have about 700 employees in any given time. We have 12 locations from Roanoke all the way to Lynchburg, down to Rocky Mount, and areas in between, and we represent about 20 plus brands of automobiles.
Give people an idea. I mean, our topic is on emails, but this is probably 1/100th of your job. I'm talking about all the things you have to do.
Well, certainly, and like this morning I was on a call for a couple hours about advertising. You've always got, employee, hiring employees and incentivizing employees. And again, we have in every car dealership, I look at it as 5 different businesses because, we've got a new car department, used car department. We have a body shop, service department, parts department, and then administrative departments. We have our own auction. We run that also. So there's lots of different businesses inside of the average car dealership. So it's a lot of multitasking going on. And we've got a lot of great employees. We have a great leadership team that helps me out every day. So certainly I can't get it all done by myself, but it's there's a few things going on.
Absolutely. And advice, I mean, when you have clients that come in, you have several different clients from around the country, right? Around the
we have
state.
lots of different different types of businesses.
Right.
They all sort of are challenged with now, how do you move into that consistent kind of, we call it quadrant 2 from Stephen Covey's work, from Eisenhower's quadrants of how do we move into that not urgent but really important space. And it's really hard when you're getting 300 emails and you have 700 employees that you have to manage. I mean, clients have a really difficult time going, how do I make that space for that not urgent but really important strategic time to think way ahead, create that vision, and be the messenger of that vision?
Is this what you hear from all of these people? I mean, it seems like the same problem.
Every single one of them have a difficult time getting out of, they're not in a drama space. They've way past that. It's how do I develop my people and create the vision, communicate that vision, and then how do I make those day-to-day decisions that in some ways I only have the authority to be able to make. It's only I can make certain decisions.
Right.
Right. So that's what their challenge is.
So you might want to put earmuffs on for this one,
okay,
William.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you want to hear this. You might start twitching.
That's all right.
What is the cost to a company when they are spending all these hours on email? Shh, don't listen, William.
It's definitely, for a company the size of Berglund, you're looking at $500,000 to $1 million a year minimum.
Yikes.
And if you were to track the time of all of his employees, all of his leaders, and himself on email, easily $1 million a year.
How you doing over there, William?
I'm good. It's a big cost, but also it's tough. The challenge that I have and a lot of my leaders have is figuring out exactly what's the most important thing, because they're all important. If we get our head down working on the screen and answering all these emails, then we're not working on our employee relations and our customer relations and our marketing and actually doing what we do every day. Selling and providing services to our customers, because most of those are all face-to-face kinds of things. But those emails keep dumping in and taking priority and so forth. So, but it is a big cost, and we know it, and we try to
You were prepared for that number?
I was prepared for that number. But I think, something that we may want to talk about here also is, when do you respond to an email and how do you respond to an email? And then when do you pick the phone up and call a person? And then, or when do you just invite them to come see you, or you go see them? Because
invite us to come for a glass of wine, maybe?
Right. Well, that, or just have a conversation.
Oh, okay, we'll do that.
People are pretty quick to send an email sometimes and tell you what they're thinking. But you may relate to it in the wrong way, and you need to have some human interaction. I think we're really missing that a lot of times in our businesses nowadays. And I'll have an employee situation or a customer situation, and I'll be talking to one of my managers about it, and they go, "Well, I emailed them." I'm like, "Well, okay. Well, did you call them on the phone? Did you talk to them? And they go, "Oh yeah, I'll go do that." And it usually works out much better sometimes. So I think in today's world, as busy as we are, we rely on that, and texting the same way, instant messaging and email that certainly has changed our businesses quite a bit. And we can't forget about the human interaction, which is so important. That you can be like me. I'm sitting there talking. I'm moving my hands. I said if I cut my hands off, I won't be able to talk. So I think, but you can't see that in an email, right?
Right. And you can't hear tone in an email either.
So that's what added conversational intelligence with Judith Glazier. She cited some research about how we process conversations with people.
Right.
So 7% is words, 38% is tone of voice, and 55% is body language.
Right. And you keep telling me that every time we get together.
That's right. Yeah. And so you've got to really think in an email, this is not a place to have a conversation. You need to think like, do you have all of your thoughts together? Mm-hmm. Have you compiled it? Do you have an outline? And can you send a complete set of information for the person? Don't just send one sentence. It's not a text. It's not a place for a text, right? So you can be complete. You can be detailed. You can create links to other information. It's really about pausing and giving consideration, compiling information so that you go, okay, I don't need to send 3 emails about this. If I waited till the end of the day, compiled all the information, and sent it to William one time so that he had complete data.
Right.
I think email too. I think it makes people say, "Hey, he's more accessible via email." It's so hard to get his eyesight knocking over microphones.
Right.
Look at me and sit down and talk. And they might think, "Well, he's the CEO. He's got better things to do. I'll just fire off an email." What are your thoughts from the CEO's perspective?
Well, I think people will send emails about things they otherwise wouldn't tell you about.
True.
That can be good and can be bad sometimes. It could be eye-opening and great, but and then people will provide you with lots of data and lots of things to read that otherwise they think they'd have a harder time getting in front of you, so forth. So I guess at some level we're more accessible and in some ways not as accessible, through email, because some people do like to try to hide behind it a bit. Mm-hmm. And some people, try to access people through it quicker. There's stories out there of mass emails to big groups of people and so forth to get things out, which can be good and can be bad. And there's ways that I can communicate with all my employees, but certainly there's ways that employees can communicate with lots of people as well.
Do you have rules of engagement per se?
We do. We have some rules of engagement on that.
What are your rules of engagement that you can share? Maybe advice to other CEOs, other people who are listening to this, how to handle this.
Well, there's one case I think of a large company down in North Carolina that somebody was trying to get a raise or something like that, and they sent an email out to a few 100,000 employees. I don't know if it worked out that well for that person or not, but there are certain ways that maybe those systems should be locked down through your IT department, mm-hmm. that people should not be able to go out and get to all those folks at one time.
So Linda, advice from you for anyone sitting at home right now, or actually more apropos at their desk at work right now, ready to hit the send button. What do you need to ask yourself? What do you need to think truly before you hit that send button about what you have in that as well, in the email, as well as who you're sending it to?
Definitely. Do I need to have a conversation with this person? Do I need to send it now, or do I need to collect more information? Am I trying to delegate something? Because you don't want to swoop and poop, right? So you don't.
I was like, did she just say that?
Yeah. This is a big deal. He knows what I'm talking about, because it's like, leaders, managers will go, or committee members will go, I'll just send Linda an email to say, do this, right? Yeah. Well, that isn't kind of, a conversation about whether they can actually do it or not. They think, well, if it landed in their inbox, I assigned it to them.
Right.
So it really is, email has a very limited good use of it. And I would suggest to companies to start looking at all the amazing, there's a lot of free apps for small businesses now. So bigger companies, I mean, you've got security issues, but you have, 50 or less employees and you're trying to manage projects. There's some fantastic free apps that you can use now that are much better than email.
How so? What are the apps?
Oh, there's and I'm trying. Of course, right now I can't think of one of them. We use Wunderlist, right? So we love in our company very simple way to sort of have an app, and I can quickly assign to any of my employees, this task, that task. The other employees can see what tasks they can say they completed it.
Okay.
It immediately reduced our company's inboxes by 30 to 35%. It was that immediate.
So money in the bank.
It was lots of money. Yes.
Do you feel like you're getting a handle on it at Berglund, or is it just?
Well, it's
Is that possible?
we're working through it. We're working, trying to figure out. But to that point, we don't have rules of engagement, but we need to start moving that direction. But just for instance, if you and I had an appointment at my office to get some work done, and we were talking about a project, and I had my computer up, and all of a sudden I got an email from Linda, and she said, "Hey, I want to get this done." I mean, if you're looking at your email all the time, that could change the direction of our meeting, which is not really fair to you or to me and what we're trying to get done. So, going back to only answering emails, every few hours, or assigning them to somebody else, or closing the computer down, which I have to work on myself, are all probably the best practices. But I think it's tough in today's world because then you add in texting. And we all seem to have our phones on our desk when we're talking to each other.
Mine's right here.
That's right. And then you get a text about something.
Are you talking, William?
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Then,
right.
then
and then it can send everybody off to another direction, which I think is, it's a big time waster, and we have a hard time focusing. And I'm guilty of that. A lot of folks are, and it's a challenge. It's really a challenge to put those devices away and to get done what we need to get done, and then move on. But it goes back from that society we're in, where everybody's in this immediate response world. But it's tough to manage.
It is.
I thought since we had William here too, we could do some myth busters as well.
Oh, do tell.
Okay.
I do
I'll
some
let you.
myth busters.
Give us
I
some.
don't know where you're going with
Yeah.
this.
Me neither. Let's
could
see
be
what
one.
happens.
One of my favorite myth busters is that William and Berglund bought the Roanoke Civic Center.
Oh yeah.
Did you?
They think
You own it, huh?
Right,
Yeah,
no.
they thought, they read the story really quickly, and because the name's on the front, they think he owns it.
Right.
Right? So when something goes wrong at a concert,
You get
William
calls,
gets it.
emails.
Right. Well, I get most emails about the parking price.
That's spectacular.
Ever since Berglund bought the Roanoke Civic Center, now we charge for parking.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
So I thought this was a great forum to go, nope,
No.
sponsored it.
Yeah.
Sponsored
So
it.
we
Amy.
sponsored it. We're happy to have our name on it. We'll give a car away a year, which is coming up soon, which we're excited
next
about.
Saturday.
Next
Ah,
Saturday.
yeah, it's the
Giving
keys
away a
underneath the
car.
seat,
Right,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard
We've
that
got
on the
we've
radio.
got a great relationship with the city of Roanoke and Robin Shawn at the Berglund Center and doing great things, but we did not buy it.
So you can't hook me up with my favorite concerts and get them in town?
We know where to find you some good tickets for sure.
Okay.
Right.
We'll do that.
But
We'll
he
do that.
doesn't get unlimited tickets.
No,
That's the
no.
other thing.
Right,
Is
no.
they thought, unlimited tickets.
Yeah.
The other thing is a myth in general about leaders that I really would like to convey is that there's a myth that people are born leaders.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That you just have a behavioral style, and the great leaders, they just wake up and
They
they
rise
know
to the
how to
top.
lead, and they just rise to the top, and they always know what to say. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case. And I think that I would love to hear what you feel about that, because the leaders I work with at any capacity, whether I'm coaching them, working on their PR, whatever it is, they're working really hard to gain skills, gain knowledge every day. They don't know everything. Right? And so I just wanted to know what you thought about that and who you go to in your industry, like when you don't know, you're not really sure about what to do next.
Right.
Right?
Everyone needs a mentor.
Right.
Yeah.
So in our business, automotive business, I mean, we've come from running 1 or 2 dealerships to running 12 locations, from 1 franchise to over 20 franchises. So we're always trying to reinvent ourselves, trying to figure out best practices, trying to figure out what works. And so we're always reading. We're always talking to people like Linda talks about, mentors. There's dealer groups you can get into. I'm in a group of people that own 30 to 50 dealerships. So I'm
Wow.
the small guy in that group. Okay?
Yeah.
So I really rely on those folks to help me out with how they manage their business on a day-to-day basis. So we always have we have coaches like Linda's out there that helps out a lot, and I have some other coaches to help me out, and these other business leaders. And my father's been a great mentor to me through the years. It's been a big help. But we've got this is a different day and many more employees than we've ever had. And one of the biggest challenges is when you have one dealership or one business and you have a great day, you can go home satisfied. And but when you have 12 of them, you have a couple good days at a couple of them and some other not so good days at other ones. So you never have that full feeling of satisfaction.
I never thought about that.
Somebody gave me the analogy one time. This is kind of corny. That when you got 10 kids, you always got a few that are doing pretty good and a couple that are lagging behind. So you always got to be working on something. But I love what I do. It's all I've ever done. It's all our family has done for many years. So it's a challenge every day, and it's all day. It's all day, 7 days a week.
William, if I had 10 kids, I'd be bald right now.
Well, I'm working on going bald right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I could just deal with 2. Maybe I'm
Right.
not meant to be a born leader, as you
Right.
said.
Yeah, but I don't think to Linda's point that you don't really have that naturally. It's really learned. It's kind of
Right.
like we are always looking for salespeople, and we'll say we'll train you, and there really is no natural salesperson. Some are more predetermined to be successful than the others, but the best salespeople are always training themselves and learning things and overcoming their skills or lack of skills and so forth. So it can be taught and learned, and it's a
Absolutely.
constant deal.
Cool. I think we're good. I'm going to wrap up. If there's anything else you want to make sure, is there anything? I think you gave some good advice, Linda. Any other tips?
Absolutely. The only one last thing I want to end on is the one thing that I really admire about William and watching him is is something I talk about all the time, which is this: leaders need emotional discipline, right? And so I'll never forget the first time. I hope I can share this. You just stop me if I can't.
Too late
We're
now, William.
rolling, so I guess
We're
I guess
rolling.
something, yeah.
But I was in his office, and he's like, "I got to take this call. Looks important." And so he gets on. Oh. Oh. Okay. Well, I can. You can handle that, and I'll give the customer a call. He hangs up the phone. I was like, "What happened?" And he's like, "Brand new Mercedes. Guy delivers it, forgets to put down the ramp."
Oh my
And I was
God.
like, "That sounds really bad." He's like, "Yeah, it's not good. it's not good." And I thought,
Very calmly.
yeah, because he's gonna get he got another call. Not bad, good call. 10 minutes later, bad call. 3 minutes later. If he were to ride that emotional roller coaster
He'd be wiped
through
out.
his day, he couldn't do it.
Right.
Right. And I don't think that's really a skill that you build and something that is the quality of leaders that are trying to manage what he's managed. He couldn't do it.
I mean,
And
you
so-
really have to. I guess one thing I try to work on is to compartmentalize,
Okay.
because that story that happened, it turned out to have a happy ending.
I was going to say, what happened to the
but
Mercedes?
that,
I want to
uh,
know.
He totally took care of the customer.
But that happened. But again, that's got nothing to do with what's happening at the Chevrolet store, the Toyota store, or the other Ford store, or something like that. So
Right.
I just have had to learn how to compartmentalize and just move on to the next
All right.
thing. So
Well, thank you, William.
thank you, Becky.
All right. Again, William Farrell with Berglund Automotive Group, Linda McNutt Foster, of course, with Cortex Leadership Consulting. And for Virginia at Work, I'm Becky Freemall. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.